Hey, hey, hey. It's Filter Free Friday, y'all. Listen, I am so glad you all are here. I was reminded this week of one time when I was managing like 27 people in a mildly light production facility. And the rules were pretty clear that you had to be on time. And if you were late, there were a certain number of times that once you were late that many times, then you would get written up. Then after being late again, then it would progress to an issue at work. And so what I didn't realize right away was that there were a couple of employees that were reporting to me. One who was driving a little over an hour one way and who was also a farmer. So before he got to work at 7:30 every day, he would have fed all of his cows, done all of his farm chores, and driven over an hour to get to the production facility. And if I think about the term consistency, it would suggest that he has to be there at 7:30 all the time, just like everybody else. He chose to live wherever he lives, and therefore, the rules are the rules. There was another person who I knew for sure had a really difficult life, and their car was not very reliable. They did live close enough to take public transportation, but in the city of Kansas City, public transportation is not always as reliable as you might think it would be in like a New York or any in fact, pick your East Coast major city. And so didn't matter, right? If this person was struggling to be on time, if they missed 3 times, consistency says that they would get written up. And this was true for them just as much as it was true for a person who lived in the towers that were right next door to the facility where we worked. This was true for people who walked to work. Um, and so therefore there weren't very many reasons why they would be late. And I never really thought about it necessarily until my son got older. When I was pregnant with my child, he was a night person. And I have been a morning person my entire life. I used to be up with my grandmother. When I think about how my family's staying up late, I was never really up late with them. There's hardly a picture of me at nighttime where I'm not asleep because I am just a morning person. People give you lots of credit for being a morning person. It suggests to people that you are disciplined. It suggests to people that you are a go-getter, that somehow there's something like better about you because you get up early. And I think that would be true if it required discipline. The truth is, my natural way is to get up early. Even in college, I was not a late night person. You can ask any of my undergraduate friends, and they will tell you if we had late night study, I wasn't gonna be there. And if I was there, I was asleep. My line name for my sorority when I was in undergrad was Comfort Zone. And I'll let you fill in the blanks about why you think that is. I am a person. But when my son was at USC and living in LA, he had a 2 hour time period that was behind me. And of course, like when we was in high school, I used to like he struggled to get up. At one point, he wrote an entire paper and did a bunch of research about why young people needed to start school later. It was very impressive. I thought it was fantastic. But for the first time in our lives, we were both able to operate at our optimum time because when I was waking up around 4:30, it would be 2:30 in California AM. He'd be going to sleep and I'd be getting up. And we would have some of the best conversations we've ever had, and then I had an epiphany. Yeah, there are needs for consistency in many cases, because I'm an engineer, right? Like, if I gotta make 50 million parts of something, I need them to be exactly the same. I need all the inputs to be the same so that the outputs are the same. You can't go having a bunch of variables. But is it actually fair if somebody is driving over an hour, and is a cattle farmer to have the exact same rules for that person as someone who is rolling out of bed and walking 2 minutes to work. Now, what's interesting is the person who was the cattle farmer, he was not he wasn't frequently late to work. But there was one winter where the weather was bad, where the weather was bad. It's bad. Sometimes the Midwest, the weather is unpredictable. And there was one particular time where he had a calf got stuck in childbirth, and then also there was like traffic on the highway, and it ended up being his like third tardy, and he was just barely late. There was no way that I could write him up. First of all, he was one of my top performing employees. And so now you got to go and have a conversation with somebody to say, okay, can we bend these rules? And let me just say, I've been frustrated this week by consistency. I got my little paper out because I think we need to talk about this. Um, and let me also say, if someone convinced me to get some flip chart paper that's not 3M, it is not the same. All things are not created equal. This paper falls down off the wall all the time. Consistency, by definition, is that everybody gets the same thing, the same rules, right? It's the same rules, same punishments, and also same rewards. So doesn't matter. You treat them the same. I think we know better than this, especially if we have children. Because if you have children, you know that you can't treat your children exactly the same because they have different needs. Consistency, I think, is just dressed up language for what we call equality. We think equality is fair. We think that fairness, we say treat everybody the same. Same equals fairness, right? That's what we tell ourselves. But if something as simple as being able to do amazing amounts of work and being committed to your job and showing up consistently at the right time, 99% of the time, but because you live over an hour away, that sometimes you're going to be late. Do I still write you up? And guess what? In this particular situation, I'm required to write this person up. And something about it just doesn't sit right with me. And I didn't know why. And what I've learned is things like assessments. I love assessments, but Strength Finder points it out. Like when my top 5 is individualization. And I recall when we started getting gift cards, and gift cards started to be the gift that people liked, right? And folks are like, just get them a gift card. Just get them cash. I hate that. It is not the reward that I appreciate. And I feel like I'm being ungrateful. But why? If you're going to give me a gift, I want to remember that you're the one who gave it to me, which means that it needs to be a thoughtful gift. And I think it's wonderful. I am not lacking gratitude about the fact that I got a gift, but what does it look like when you say, hey, let's get everybody on the team a gift card to the local pizza place that doesn't have gluten-free flour? And you've got people with celiacs. What does it look like when you're in the barbecue capital of the world, and when you decide to feed people, you say, I'm going to get barbecue for lunch, and you didn't think one bit about the vegans or the vegetarians on the team? Yeah, maybe you're treating everyone equally, but is it giving them what they need? And I certainly hope that you don't hear in any way that I am like disparaging you, because I used to be the worst at it, especially as it relates to engineering. These careers where we have been taught that we have to have standards and everything needs to be the same. Yes, that's true. As it relates to process, the thing is, people are not problems or processes to be solved. People are vastly different. And so vastly different will require that you do what you know, which you understand with your children, which you understand with yourself, and give people what they need to be successful. And if we give people what they need to be successful, then we will ultimately be the beneficiaries of it. If I think about, I've got one kid, I'm flying I'm flying with my one kid. Yeah, I should book my flight in advance so that my one kid sit next to me in general. Consistency would say. My values would say don't ask somebody to move so my kid can sit with me. I get that. But if somebody's got 11 children, I just met someone this week who has 11, who was one of 11 children, and they on the plane. I doubt that no matter how far in advance they try to get tickets, can they get 11 seats together? And so they're going to have to try to navigate some of this on the day of. And do you, as a group of people who are dealing with these parents and these 11 children, do you just go, nah, you sit where you sit? Now you got these 11 children all over the plane? Or is it a better idea to put their parents at the beginning and end of them and have them all seated together and move some things around? And I get it. It's going to take some time. Some folk going to be upset and it's irritating. But what's that flight going to be like for every single stakeholder on that plane if we all dig in and say, nah, the rules are the rules. Everybody's same rules, same consequences, same rewards, sit wherever you want. And the rest of us just got to figure it out. And, what I've seen is we will start to debate whether or not a person should have 11 children instead of trying to figure out this concept that is called equity. Equity. And I get it. I'm biased because I have individualization in my top 5 on StrengthsFinder. So I'm biased. I am geared towards a concept of equity and giving people what they need, versus allowing the rules to dictate. I believe that we get this when it's us. You let somebody develop a allergy, now all of a sudden they are looking for equity. Leave eggs out of my stuff if I'm allergic to eggs. Leave if I can't have hydrogenated oils. I met someone once who couldn't have palm oil. You don't want your stuff. You you get that when it's you. And empathy can't sit on a bed of hypocrisy. So we have got to learn how to stop arguing with reality and getting caught up on words. The number of times someone says to me, I got to be consistent. Do you? If I wrote the book on a topic, do you really have to give me the assessment? Do you? Or is the assessment generally part of the rule that we use to try to make sure that folks get what they need? And here's the other problem. We only throw out consistency when it suits our needs. It's Filter Free Friday, y'all. We got serious work to do.